I tell folks, read the book, because you can take what I'm talking about and put it in maybe 1/10 of the book, sort of like comparing a book to a movie. You go to the movie, you get a little short version. I'm going to give you a short version, which is mostly composed of the lists. You need to go to the book and understand the rationale, the logic, the theory, the center behind what I'm talking about. You're going to see three very important things that underline everything in traditional African society that we believed in more than anything else. And our writers on the continent and other people who came and looked at us discovered these same things and talked about the importance of them to our people, because they saw them so wide, so generally spread out. We were a very family, child-centered people, no matter where you went. And even now, with all the destruction of our families, and the family will remain the first target of enemies, we still have more extended families than any other people on the planet. That says something of the tenacity, the seriousness with which we take family. We will still hurt people over our children and not worry about what's going to happen as a result. Sit on the steps like my father probably would, waiting for the cops to come and pick him after he handled whoever touched me. We are very family, child-centered. Secondly, we are very spiritual. You ought to say all the time, they are the most religious people, they're the most spiritual people on the planet. And that has led a lot to understand, if you can control that, you can control them. But to be talked about in that way by people who didn't know us, because that was the first thing that they saw, not understanding that this was just a way. You couldn't ask a traditional African, what's your religion? This is who I am. This is what I do. I'm not disconnected from spirit. Spirit is me. Yeah. So what are you talking about? What kind of religion or spiritual system do you have? That's only in the West where we start talking about that and dividing it up and having to try to find our way along certain religious lines. The third thing was how we raised our children and ourselves. And the primary focus was on the character of the person. We weren't talking about ABCs, even though we were brilliant. We weren't talking about math, even though that was the core of our thinking. We were talking about the kind of character that we had. We taught our children good character before anything. I don't tell any of y'all where to go. Any doesn't tell me where to go. We go together and we negotiate along the way. And if we're smart about this, then we look at each other and we understand what we're good at. And we allow that other person to remain and become the specialist in that area, while we allow ourselves to remain a specialist in our area. And we share that expertise. No one head can hold all wisdom. I'm not that good. I'm not that smart. I need her wisdom in the areas that she's good in. And I call on her for direction and for guidance in those areas, the same way that my father did. And it made him no less of a man. In fact, it made him a greater man because he was more empowered through her. We have to be aware, or we got enemies in our own house. You're fighting against yourself. Like I remember telling my daughter when she tried to bring European stuff to me, which she did when she was small, she grew out of that. I said, I can't fight you and Europeans at the same time. Somebody's got to go. And she didn't want to leave home, so there's nothing wrong with men being men and women being women. I think it's a nice thing personally.
Right. Yeah.
So one of our problems was she was of the opinion that I didn't want to listen to her. I was of the opinion that she wouldn't stop talking about whatever it was. But it helped us understand that when there's a problem, sisters want to talk about it. They want to figure out all of the aspects of it so they can come to a logical, reasonable way of dealing with it. Which makes sense for sisters because of their nurturing nature. In our tradition, when a war was to be declared, the person who was asked, or the people who were asked, were the women, because they were the ones least likely to tell you to go kill somebody. So you leave that decision to someone who's going to least likely. And it's interesting, the grandmothers now are calling for us to do our warriors' work, brothers. There's a movement. Okay? So that says something. When the sisters are saying it's time for war, then we need to get busy. But brothers, I just want to know who he is. That's all I want to know. who he is. If somebody can help me with the address, that's good. I just want to know who he is. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to know any more. He touched you in the discussion. I don't want to know. You can call me violent, what have you, but this is my daughter. I know my father, what he would have done. He looked at me, saw bruises, he's gone. Handle business. That's what men have traditionally done in our community. There wasn't, and ants don't sit there and have a conversation if somebody puts a hole in their heel. They go handle whoever the violator is. We're the only creatures on this planet who want to sit down and talk about what happened in length for days, weeks, months, years on end, generations on end, instead of doing something to stop it now so that it won't happen again. When we do that, it stops. When people understand that we speak to them in their language, stuff changes. Suddenly you get respect. People don't try that anymore. Will not be wrathful and angry except for a just cause. This is one of those I love because there are two oracles that say except. And most of the time we forget that except. It gets taken out somewhere in the translation. I will not be wrathful and angry. No, you shouldn't be wrathful and angry. Yes, you should let it go when it deserves to be let go. But for just cause, 2,000 years of assault on African people, rape, murder, mutilation, enslavement, exploitation, oppression, destruction, lynching, menticide. The list could go on for years of what has been done, is being done, and will be done to us until we stop it or no longer exist. I have every right to be righteously enraged. Not just angry just to be angry. I know exactly what I'm angry about. And I have every right to be angry. When you focus your anger to correct it, wonderful things start to happen. When you let go of that fear and take that anger and you direct it. Let someone beat me in a game of chess. I'm mad. Particularly mad at me, but I'm mad because I lost the game. I don't like to lose. Okay? Give me a little time. I'm going to figure you out. And then we're going to see. We need to understand what has been done to us. Why we are so afraid even when they're not here. We protect their interests when they're not even in the building. Why we are so afraid, why we are so beaten, why we take pride in those things among us that are closest to them. Why we make our children ashamed. Why we tell our children they can do and be anything they want to until they decide that they want to be or do anything that liberates African people. Then we don't protect them, we're trying to protect ourselves. Because no parent who's really reared their child and loves their child would want their child to be a slave for the rest of his or her life. We'd want them to be free. And so, except for a just cause, I think that this is a just cause. The liberation, empowerment, sovereignty of African people, I think that's a just cause. I think that's something that we should be able to do. Robert Charles in North Carolina, mob of 20,000 people, knew he was going to get lynched. Knew he was going to get lynched. He took out or maimed 20 of them before they took him. He knew he was gone, but he also knew African people, African children were watching, so he set a standard. He set a standard. And even though I don't really want to go, I got work to do. I want to be here to see my grandchild grow up and to become my daughter, to become everything that she wants to be. But if I have to go, I want them to know I was there. My father told me all the time, he said, you don't ever run from a bully. He said, you may be scared, but you don't ever run from a bully. You beat his kneecaps to death. He will not touch you again. Because bullies don't like things that fight back. They want easy prey. So I want to be remembered tearing the kneecaps up.